And we're hot.
Back in the studio.
Back here again.
It's kind of weird when we not having no trips to go on as far as storm work and stuff. I mean, we've been in the studio several weeks.
Yep. We might get a whole winter unless an ice storm hits.
Well, if it does, we'll be ready to roll.
Yeah.
But I think that'll probably push us over into January, February time frame.
Well, that'll be good. You'll have a whole deer season in. Except we got to start putting in for our tags and all of our good stuff.
Well, we got to start researching this sandhill crane some more. We got our permits this week.
Yeah, so. I don't know when this will come out, but yeah, we did get drawn for sandhill crane, so.
And we've got the official permit now, I guess. I printed mine off. So.
Yeah, I printed mine, but I don't know what I did with it. Looks like you can't just carry around you on your phone. You got to have paper.
Good old paper.
Well, I mean, unless we find some, I don't know what we'll be doing anyway. I mean, just going to get up and ride to
a field and sit there.
Look around, hope. I don't think there's a call for one of them. I ain't got no decoys. We'd have to hide in the woods and run out there on them. Look like Ernest T. Bass out there, run out. Hey!
Shoot up amongst them.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess we'll do some more research on that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we can find somebody that's got a little bit of intel.
Hopefully. I want you to talk to the man. You ain't talked to him yet.
Yep. Maybe if we don't run too late.
Charlie, if you listen to this, hey, help us. Help out a brother.
Yeah. Because he's got some guys that's got duck leases and stuff up like Huntsville area.
I just want to know when they start seeing them. I mean, I'll ride up. You know, they talk about scouting this. You know, you need to be doing it. Well, I don't have time to scout.
I don't even know where to go and look to scout.
Well, I mean, I'm not driving halfway across the state to scout. I'm not driving halfway across the state to kill one. I mean, I would if they said there's a whole, flock of them in here, but like that, the biologist told us they don't stay long. And if somebody sees them, they're going to shoot at them.
Oh yeah.
Because how many permits they give out? 700? Something like that. Or maybe, I don't know if it's that much, maybe. Because there's 3, you can kill 3 apiece. That'd be 2,100 birds. I don't believe that. Would be the case.
On them, wouldn't it?
So I need to talk with Carrie Marsh. They got drawn.
Yeah. So
I got to talk to her anyway.
She seems to always be coming up with some good contacts.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll try to get a hold of her. I think I'm gonna. That deer I got in the freezer. She's needing a cape.
Yeah.
She'll do a
€1.
For €1, yeah. She'll do it. So I may pull that baby out and
do a little trade.
Meet her one day. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think I'm gonna do. I didn't know when I did it. It's safer to go ahead and do it. Not then regret it later. Mm-hmm. When somebody looks at it and went, "Oh my God, you should have mounted that thing." And I probably should, but I ain't got nowhere to put them.
I love the Euro mouse, though, man. Me and Laura talked about that the other night. I don't know that. I told her, I said, if I ever mount another deer, it would just have to be some freak thing, a piebald or like one of those morphodite deer where it's a doe with a rack, or maybe something that's palmated real wide.
Maybe
something like that.
Full velvet one or something.
Yeah.
Something.
And, and I really don't think deer with velvet's that pretty. I mean, I'd rather them be hard horn myself.
I think they're pretty when they're alive.
Mm-hmm.
Something changes because it dries out too. Mm-hmm. It just,
It takes the right
taxidermist. Now, I'll be honest with you. That deer of Carrie's looked good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it had some shrinkage.
But it takes the right taxidermist to do those.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's got to be done.
I've seen some guys have those done, and they didn't turn out well at all. So, yep.
Yeah, my old cousin, he killed one time during bow season, full velvet. I guess he got it mounted. I don't know. Next time I talk to Kathy, I'm going to ask her. I'm sure she got it. Well, tonight you've set up a good one.
Yeah, this is something that I'm kind of getting really interested in. So,
and I hope a lot of people are. I mean, it's going to be a little late in the year for this year, but next year, it's never too early to start. You can start planning and laying out what you want to do.
And from this research that I've been kind of doing, there's a thing called frost seeding.
Yeah.
So, for the guys that want to get like clover for turkeys or whatever started, so
I might have to, as dry as it is.
Yeah. I may have to redo mine as well.
But anyway, we're going to have the author of the book, the No-Till Fall Food Plot Blueprint. Simple food plot seeding for beginners is Ryan. I guess that's his name is Ryan Nordahl. That's how I would pronounce it.
Yep.
He'll correct me later.
I'm sure.
But anyway, interesting read. I hadn't finished the whole thing yet. I know you've read it. You've probably backed the cover a couple of times, but you just brought it over here and I laid it out. And
it was interesting. I went from front to back, and then questions started coming to my mind, so I went back and kind of went over it a couple of times. There's some stuff I wanted to see. Well, took me some little snap pictures of the pages that I wanted.
Well, if I'd put this in my morning conference room, I'd have it read by now. But
yeah.
Anyway, it's been out here, and I hadn't been out here a whole lot, but I have read probably half. I've got halfway through it. But anyway, I say we go and talk to Ryan Nordahl. What do you say?
Sounds good. And we got our guest tonight, Ryan Nordahl, and we were excited about this one, or I am, I know. So, without further ado, Ryan, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Silence is the killer on these things, Dustin.
Yes. I'm here, so if you can hear me.
Oh, we hear you great. We hear you great. You're a little bit too far away to be in studio with us, but
yep.
So you're all the way in Wisconsin. I think that's what we talked about a little earlier. How
yes,
you guys getting the cold weather already? You getting some snow or anything yet?
We had a little bit of flurry activity here past weekend. I know some areas to the south of us got some measurable snow. I know parts of Illinois, Indiana, they had white on the ground down there. I've got a few friends that hunt down in those areas, and they were sending me pictures. Right around us, I mean, within a 50-mile radius, there was snow on the ground, but we were a void up here. But we come off, we're warmer now here toward the end of this week. We're back up into the 50s, even going to approach 60 by Saturday. But then by Sunday again, back down to barely 40 degrees. So a big change coming again, and pretty much a big change right into the last half of November, really. So we've got our rifle season coming up here in Wisconsin, not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, whatever the dates are there, like the 22nd is our first day of our gun deer season here in Wisconsin.
It is for us as well.
Okay. Yep. It's just something about, Thanksgiving and gun deer season brings people together, families together. It's just a fun time of year. The camaraderie is just phenomenal. I look forward to it every year. And with three boys that hunt, I've got a 21-year-old son, a 19-year-old son, and then a 9-year-old son. We all hunt together. My father, he doesn't hunt much anymore. He'll go out with one of the boys or something, or with myself, but he usually isn't toting a gun anymore. He hasn't in quite a while. It's just his thing. He enjoys deer. He still enjoys venison, but he just does not care to hunt anymore. And my brother, I have an older brother that's 2 years older than me, my only sibling. He likes deer. He farms for a living, so he does not like feeding deer. But I and a good friend of mine and my boys, we help them out with doe management and stuff. So we have a fun time there, and it's basically a free-for-all. My family is blessed. We probably have 400 acres in total. We've got the family farm where my brother farms. My father and I, we own a 80 that's separate from that. And then here at my house where I am at tonight, my wife and I own 16 acres here. It's a small property, but it's an effective property. It's in the right spot. It sits down in the valley between two big oak bedding ridges, and we've got some hammers around here this year as far as whitetail bucks go. So
is it rut time right now for you guys?
Big time. I mean, just cruising today, I was down to my brother's farm, and it's a 15-minute drive, and I was down there in the middle of the afternoon, so like 1 p.m., and I probably counted 5 or 6 different bucks. And I mean, that's not unusual this time of year. They're running hard. Trail cameras are lit up like crazy, and it's a fun time. It's just a fun time to be in the woods. And I tell people, that are having a little frustration not seeing deer, because we're pretty heavy into the lockdown period of the rut right now, where bucks are locked up with does, and it's just a matter of time. And you got to be patient, put in your time, and good things will happen. I mean, if you can get in a tree at daylight and sit your butt there until dark, you're going to see something if you're in the right location.
That's what I like. It's no fun to sit.
Yep.
It's no fun to sit all day and see nothing. But when you're going to see something sooner or later, I can have great patience then and sit.
Especially
absolutely
just a little action just to keep you going.
Yep.
Well,
it reminds me of a story of a buck that I harvested in 2013. A lot of people knew him. I posted a lot of pictures about him, trail camera photos that I had. He first daylighted on the 7th of November that year. And I always felt like I was one step behind him in the game of chess that we were playing. And 10 days I sat from dark to dark every day. And in that 10-day span, I had 4 different encounters with him. I missed him one evening. And then on the 17th of November that year, I finally put an arrow in him, and we had to let him go. We let him go until the next day, and we finally found him 17 and a half hours later. I made a bad hit on him. I had a great shot. He was quartered away, that perfect 20-yard quartered away shot. As soon as my finger hit the trigger on my arrow release, the deer took a step forward and toward me, and I caught him in the last rib on the side that was facing me, and it come out his flank just in front of his rear right leg on the opposite side. Just one of those things. I knew I had to let him go overnight, and 17 and a half hours later, it was history. And I mean, he was 75 yards from where I'd shot him. And
did you sleep much that night?
I did not sleep a wink. As a deer hunter, I've been going with, my dad since I was 6 years old. I'm 47 now. So everybody makes a mistake once in a while, or things happen, don't go right. You hit something and you unfortunately make a bad shot on a deer. And I've done plenty of that up until that point, and I never lost sleep over deer. That deer, I never slept a wink. Never slept a wink. I think the number one reason is because there was a threat of rain that night, and I didn't want the rain to wash away. But I just knew, and talking to a few of my friends that knew I was after the deer, that I'd let know and I had an arrow in him, they're just like, you got to let that deer go, because if you go in there tonight and you jump him, he's gone forever. And at that point in my life, that stage in my hunting career, that was the biggest buck I had ever shot in my life. All said and done, final score, he was a mainframe 8-pointer with a 10-inch drop tine. So at that time, he was 152 gross scoreable points. So, or 152 inches is what I mean. So,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That's the real deal.
What kind of body weight on that deer?
That deer here in Wisconsin, when he was field dressed at that time of the year, he was already down to 100 or 230 pounds field dressed. If I would have shot him, let's say 2 weeks before that, he probably would have field dressed anywhere from 250 to 260.
Oh my gosh.
That's a stud.
If that's field dress,
Yep.
I mean, a 230 deer here is almost unheard of.
Sure.
With everything in him.
Yep.
So I don't know if you got to do much hunting down this way or ever got to hunt down here.
I haven't been that much further south. I've been to Kentucky, I've been to Missouri, and that's as far south as I've hunted.
Well, we got weird ruts around here. We'll have a rut. Well, there's 4 different distinct ruts. We had so many different deer brought in from different areas during the restocking period that your deer will be rutting.
The Bankhead they're chasing.
All right, and Bankhead, which is just up the road from us. We're kind of in not quite North Alabama, but close. But they're chasing right now up there. And then over in Wadowee. No, they rut about the same time I do.
So Wilson Bend will be my
Wilson
next
Bend will
one.
be right at Thanksgiving. Somewhere
around there, first week of December. And then January the 15th-ish for Wadowee. And then
my deer, I hunt about 120 miles south. Well, I hunt around here too, but I've got a place and own some property about 120 miles south. And they generally, you can mark January 20th on the calendar and they'll be, you'll see chasing them, but they'll chase all the way into March. It's crazy.
Wow.
So, of course, season, we got a very long season here. You know, our archery season started, parts of Alabama start 1st of October, and then the rest of the state came in, around the 15th?
Yeah, around the middle of the month.
And then we run all the way through January the 10th. The whole state runs through January the 10th.
February the 10th.
I'm sorry, February the 10th. Yeah. I don't know what I was saying.
Okay.
So, and we can take $3 in the zone.
Oh, really?
I'm in. Yeah. Most everybody gets 3.
Mm-hmm.
And this year they changed and we have so many deer. They're allowing in our zone, which is the biggest zone, and a couple other little zones, you can kill 2 does a day for the entire season from October 1st to February the 10th. I get, excuse me.
Like our rifle season goes from November 22nd to February the 10th.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
how many days do you guys get?
Wow. So our general firearm season, where basically you can use any firearm, 243, 223 being the smallest caliber. So that general firearm season is 9 days. And then we have a 10-day muzzleloader season, which follows immediately. And then at the end of December in parts of the state of Wisconsin, not every county, because like we have a northern deer herd. So probably the southern 2/3 of the state has a special holiday hunt over the Christmas and New Year holiday, lasts about a week, 10 days or whatever. And that's an antlerless only hunt too. Being that we're in that area, so our archery season rolled in around the 13th or 14th of September this year, and ours will go all the way until January 31st.
That's a
pretty long season.
That's a long season, especially if you're an archery hunter.
Yep. Absolutely. And you know, December and January we can get extreme colds. I know a few years being crazy and young, I've sat in 30 below winters, 30 below winter or weather with 15 to 20 mile an hour winds or more, just freezing my butt off. But
you're a better man than me.
Still made it happen.
I guess if there's a giant walking around, I might could do it.
He better be 300 inches.
Absolutely.
300 inches?
Yep.
Yeah, if I'm getting out of bed in that kind of weather, yep. Hey, if it gets below 30 here, we freeze them to death.
Well, believe it or not, this past Tuesday morning, it was 16 degrees here. That same front that came through and got you guys, got us. And but today it was nearly 80. So, you know.
Oh, boy.
I'm back in
and
shorts.
it's going to be mid-80s this weekend. So we just need rain. We're in a drought. We've had very little rain this whole last half of the summer. So
Sure.
our plots, our food plots are suffering.
Sure. That's what I understand. We were really wet all season long, so weed control became a real issue. And in our region, basically Wisconsin, Minnesota, the Dakotas, Iowa, northern Illinois, heavy rains. I mean, and rains that weren't even really predicted. Maybe a tenth in the forecast, and then all of a sudden that tenth would turn into 1.5 inches, 2 inches, sometimes up to 10 inches. Totally unexpected, but that's what happened. We're in that northern flow of the Gulf flow, and when it gets humid up here.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that, but you guys, you deal with the humidity like we do here. I mean, maybe not as many days, but you get it.
Right. Yes, we do. And, my background is dairy farming. So our cattle feel it really bad when it gets hot and humid like that. I mean, we've got all kinds of fans, even misters on these cows, and they feel it. Their production can drop just like that in a matter of days. Like you said, we don't get the extended, but, we can get 5 to 10 days of extended hot, humid weather. And then usually we'll get a little cold front in, give us some relief for a few days.
From Memorial Day to Labor Day here, seems like it don't get under 90 degrees and it don't get under 90% humidity. So
sure. Sure.
Can be brutal.
Well, let's get into this a little bit about what we called you about. I love talking deer, and I'm sure everybody be happy too. But what got you to even think about looking into this, especially and we'll talk about your other book too. We can talk about it. It's coming out or is out.
Yep.
But what gave you the idea to even get started in something like this, much less go ahead and write a little book on it to help the rest of us novice guys out?
Sure. So my business, I'm a whitetail habitat improvement and hunting strategy consultant. I'm based out of Wisconsin, like we said in the beginning. But I have clients across 21 states, nearly 1,000 clients in the last almost 8 years. And so I've really built a name for my company. And I wanted to create something with food plots because I work with a lot of small landowners. I'm talking, anywhere from 100 acres and less, really. I've consulted on properties down to 3-4 acres, all the way up to 5,000 acres, but it's the small guys, the small weekend warriors. So where I live here in the state of Wisconsin, we get a lot of hunters up here from Milwaukee, Chicago, southeast Wisconsin. And they own little parcels of land. I'm not far from the famed Buffalo County, if you've heard of that. It's a county where it has the most Boone and Crockett whitetails per square mile, more than anywhere else in the United States. So I'm not far from that, but a lot of those people, even out of I'm in close proximity to Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota too. And even a lot of those people have small tracts of land here in west central Wisconsin and throughout the state. But these guys are working, with tight budgets. They don't get here every weekend, things like that. They try to get here and time it with rains and everything. But, with my experience in production agriculture and everything, and I'm not saying this as a rubber stamp statement or anything, because no-till is not for everyone. And it's not for every practice of establishing food plots either. I run a lot of corn and soybeans, and for the way for the equipment that I have, which is almost nothing, I don't have a corn planter. I don't have a grain drill anymore. but we still have to till because I run a cultipacker over that. But when it comes to the traditional food plot seeds that most everybody's familiar with, your small grains like your rye, your clover, your chicory, your brassicas, so your turnips, your radishes, your forage brassicas, those are very small seeds. And a lot of problem that I see with a lot of people is that they don't understand is there's such a small seed, they don't require to be in the soil that deep. So when they till, they don't get the air pockets out. They don't firm up the seed bed. And, when it rains or whatever, they drive their four-wheelers over it to pack it in. It's burying that seed. Soil erosion, we're in the driftless area here in the part of Wisconsin that I live. If you're familiar with the driftless area and what that means, when the glaciers were here, eons ago, this is a land formation that the glacier system went around. So we've got, very steep hilly conditions and stuff, so there is in production agriculture, a lot of no-till being practiced here, or very, very minimum tillage being done in our part of the country. And it's no-till is such a simple solution. I'm about keeping overhead low. That's how I run my business. I don't do food plots for people anymore because I don't want to own the equipment. I don't need the overhead that comes with that. I don't want to do the maintenance. I don't want to keep the insurance on it. I've got other things to spend my money on, and I've got other things to spend my time with. I've actually got 4 children. I have a daughter. She's the youngest one. But with my 2 little ones, they're still in school. They're heavily involved in sports and whatnot too, and extracurricular activities with school. I want to free up my time more. So I got away from installing food plots for guys. But even on my own, I wanted to be able to touch even more people. And that's why I created the no-till food plot blueprint. And it just gives people an insight on that you don't always have to turn the soil. Let Mother Nature do what Mother Nature has done since the beginning, really, when it comes to establishing a crop or anything like that.
Well, it's got very big here in the South, in the farming industry, and it's moved over and getting more popular here, for the food plotters, the deer hunters, even turkey hunters, But so I've actually I've got a little 40-acre tract. I'm exactly what you described. I own a little tractor, a disc, and just the small stuff, 4-wheeler.
Yep.
And just terrible soil conditions to begin with. So last year was the first year I actually planted. And I planted the year before that, but it was a desert because the soil was just dead. They had come in and cut timber on some of it, and it was just dead, removed a lot of topsoil, that kind of thing, and had my soil sample and tried to get it right, planted it, and it did really well last year. I mean, but this year I took one field that I'm trying to establish it in just clover. It's about an acre, and basically I hadn't even read your book by then. Well, maybe I had, but you were telling me about it. I kind of did a little of your same as you did, you were doing. Of course, we're in the middle of a drought. My clover it looked terrible. That was what was there. And I just took, the ground was so hard. I mean, it was so hard. I did take my disc and kind of just run them straight and try to do something. And I put my clover out, and I haven't been, just like you said, I can't get down there every day. It's 120 miles from here. It's not like I can just jump in the car and be there in 10, 15 minutes. So I was down last week. A lot of it was coming up, but I'm so afraid we've got no rain. But if I can, the other two fields, they're about an acre apiece. I disc them like normal and just planted my regular food plot mix, I think it was might have been a 6-way this time. I don't know, but it has your brassicas and it has some rye and wheat and that kind of stuff in it, clover. crimson clover and that. So they were coming up, but they're so weak. I got game cameras out on all of them, and they still, to be honest, they look pitiful. The deer are hammering them. That's the problem. They can't come up for the deer eating them down. So
Sure.
Anyway, so you're the guy that I've been looking for as far as what I can do and how to do it. And this book kind of just like you said, it's a blueprint.
Yep.
One thing too, like down here in the South, a lot of us, we lease from timber companies and stuff like that. And they don't allow us to open, big green fields up and that type thing. And, or like the club that I'm a member of, they kind of let all the log roads grow back up, and it wasn't maintained. And so these little no-till plots that, I used your book and done, basically they were old log roads, and I went in with a chainsaw and cut things out of the way, and then went in with a leaf blower and a rake, and just, this is my first year to try any of that, but I think these are super beneficial for guys where they can't make any kind of big improvements to the land. Due to, because you would lose your lease if you went there and opened up a 1 acre food plot because you've knocked all their trees down. So, I think this type of deal is great for.
Well, you don't have to own a tractor, really. You don't have to have all that.
Don't even have to get it in there.
No, you don't. It's as simple as, like you said, a little steel rake, a backpack sprayer, a broad, an over the shoulder broadcast spreader, like a Earthway 2750 bag seeder, which I use a lot. I have my bag seeder from Earthway. Huyman makes it's an over the shoulder, sits on your chest mounted, battery operated one. I mean, it doesn't have to cost you a lot. But you can get a simple bag seeder at like a Walmart or something, for like $20 or $30 for some of the, less known brand type of bag seeders.
I've even got, I can't remember the name of it, but it modifies a leaf blower, and it's got a big barrel on top of it, almost
extreme blower.
Is that
products,
what it's called? Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's beautiful for doing a little small. I've got a little power line up behind the house I got planted, and you can just, you could lay those seeds and the fertilizer, whatever you're doing, just where you want it. I love
Absolutely.
it. Now, I wouldn't want to do 10 acres with it, but
No, right. But, for those small, little secluded food plots, kill plots that you can't get equipment to, this is a great way to do it. This blueprint explains everything on how to create those plots, how to get them established, and basically that you don't need big equipment to do these little plots. And sometimes you can't get there with the the bigger equipment.
Oh no, I'm on a lease, 3,000 acres, and there's places you can barely get back into with a 4-wheeler or side by side, but so
absolutely,
but there's an opportunity to get in there now using your blueprint, and do some work. So,
like I said, this isn't an end all be all rubber stamp. There's still a time and a place where sometimes you do need to break ground and stuff, but you don't have to.
No, I love getting on the tractor and pulling a set of disc around. That's a little bit of therapy sometimes to get me out of what I have to do every day for a living. So
sure.
So what would you tell a guy that's got, I don't know, 40 acres or less, and he's got a couple little places but don't own anything? How would you start? What would you do without giving every secret away in your book? But
well, the easiest thing and the simplest thing you can do is, if you have natural openings in the woods, or, logging roads like we alluded to earlier, just anything like that. Number one, though, is if you own the property outright, number one thing, though, is to get sunlight down to these plots. Seed companies will say, well, this is a shade tolerant food plot mix. that's fine and dandy. It can tolerate some shade for a while, but you still have to try to get as much sunlight to the ground as you possibly can. Whether it's some brush that you can tackle with just a simple handsaw, or maybe you need to have a light chainsaw or a heavier chainsaw and get some of that canopy open to allow daylight down. But if it's a natural opening, there's always, some place with a natural little meadow in it, whether it's an 1/8 acre, 1/4 acre, whatever. In the logging roads, like I said, start there. And it explains how soil samples are critically important. Getting the pH right in your soil, getting the pH right in your soil is number one. It's the most important thing that you can do, because if you skimp on pH, you can throw all the fertilizer at your food plots all you want to, but it comes down to, it's called cation exchange capacity of your soil. That's what pH allows. Closer to 7, the closer to neutral you can get your pH, the more it allows nutrients to be absorbed by the plants we're trying to grow from the soil. That passive transfer, or cation exchange capacity. Plus, it helps with the palatability of the things we're trying to grow for the wildlife that we're trying to feed.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Yep.
And that's why when I bought this little property, I hadn't owned it but about 3 years, I guess. That's exactly what I did. First thing I did as soon as I got these places opened up was carry a soil sample in.
Yep.
I hate to say I was very disappointed. I mean, this guy, when he pulled my report out of his file, he didn't know me. He just looked at me, he said, and I don't know if you guys have this. He looked at me, he said, "Did you buy strip mine land?" And that's where they come in, just strip everything out, get the coal out and kind of reclaim over or whatever. And I laughed. I said, no, but they came in and cut all it had been in all hardwoods its entire life up until I got it, and they'd come in and cut it. And you know how it is in the process of logging. They're pushing out places, and it was sad. I mean, I don't have any tons of lime I put on this thing already, but I've got my soil about right. And
that's good.
You can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but you don't need quite as much fertilizer if you got a neutral soil, right?
You're absolutely right. That's why I always say, if you're going to skimp on any soil inputs, do not skimp on getting the lime on your food plots.
Well, first off, lime costs a whole lot less than a bag of triple 13.
Oh yeah.
Or whatever,
absolutely.
and then
absolutely.
So
simple barn lime, pelletized lime, in bags, even these liquid limes. I know a lot of people are skeptical about liquid lime, and rightfully so, because a lot of it is just calcium chloride, which is basically salt. So you're looking for calcium carbonate. There's a couple seed or food plot companies out there that sell the right kind of liquid lime. I think Hornybuck Seed sells a true calcium carbonate liquid lime product, and Domain Outdoor here out of Wisconsin too sells a calcium carbonate based liquid lime. And that works great too for getting into those, those hard to reach backwoods food plots, because carrying bags of lime gets heavy. It gets old after a while. And when it's hot and humid early in the spring throughout the summer, it can wear on a guy.
Oh, listen, I did all of mine. I think I was supposed to put out a little over 1.5 tons an acre. I did it all pelletized because I couldn't get the spreader in there where I was at, a lime spreader. So I paid a little more. It cost just a tad more, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think I'll do it any other way. I used a spreader on the back of my tractor. Worked out great till the thunderstorm come up on me. That stuff will get soupy and clog up pretty quick. But
yes, it will.
I put it out, and I'm telling you, it looks real good. I think I did it right. And I was listening to another guy that was I think it was on a Gamekeeper podcast. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Mossy Oak does one called Gamekeepers. One of the best podcasts I've listened to. This guy was, he was a doctor in Lyme. He told it like it was, and it made me feel good because I knew I had done it right. And he talked about the basically the same thing you were talking about on the liquid limes. And you still got to put the same amount out. Volume wise, even whether it's liquid or not, but
right.
And I think some of these companies make you think on the liquid that you don't have to put as much out, or you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you're going to have a 1,000 gallons, or I don't know what it would take to get a ton of lime out, but anyway, you still got to put the work in.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. It's like anything, everybody wants the quick, easy fix on anything, and you have to get your mind right. And no, it's about the work that you put in, because you're going to get out of what you do for the amount of work that you put into it. So,
well, I was told, I was told, come back this following year and do another test and see how it was. And I did. And then time got away from me. I didn't get to do what they suggested, but I don't know if you've heard this, but this guy was saying, don't do anything until the third year. It takes it that long to really get to doing its thing. So I'll go back in there this spring and take more soil samples and then see where I'm at.
What do you say? You get like 25% the first year, and then year 2 and 3, you get 50 or something, and then at full potential is like 4 years.
I'd never heard that before.
Me either.
Yes.
So, and I took,
So like in farming, production, agriculture, that's true. And that's where I'm going with this. So, we do a lot of crop rotation because we grow a lot of corn and soybeans, but those of us that are still remaining in the dairy industry, we raise hay, we raise alfalfa, clovers and such. We'll go in when we rotate it out. And that's basically what happens is we allow the pH to kind of do its thing, and then it starts to get a little weaker, because the worst thing you can do with alfalfa and clover from an ag production standpoint is going in there year after year and putting more and more lime on it. You can eventually smother the crop out with the amount of lime that you put on those kind of crops. So what you do is when you rotate out of hay, so the alfalfas and the clovers, when you rotate out of that, go back into corn. When you're going back into corn, that's when you put your lime application on again. You go a year of corn, a year of beans, maybe another year of corn, and then back into hay again. And when you go back into hay, you're hitting that third, fourth year where your pH is right back up to where it should be. And you get another 5-6 years out of your alfalfa crops again, your clover crops. So you're absolutely right on that.
So, all right, we've got our little tract of land. We know what we're going to do. We've done our soil test. We've limed.
Yep.
Where do you go from there? And I know you're not down in the South, so we got a lot of clay type soils, that kind of thing around here. But would you just go in then? Well, you tell me, would you go in with a, your food plot seed? Would you do something different? How would you fertilize?
Well, a lot of these things, especially like in your situation where you did a logging and it stripped a lot of your topsoil away. Around here, we deal with a lot of sandier soils. We do, like here at my house, we have a good amount of clay loam soil here at my house. But you go to like my brother's farm or the 80 that my dad and I own, that's a lot sandier soil. There's some of that, even on parts of that 80 acres, there's some of that's basically considered beach sand. It's terrible soil. But what I do, you get your soil condition right with your pH, you get your fertility where it needs to be. I'll go in and I'll start in the spring, and I'll go in with a heavy layer of buckwheat. And when I'm doing this broadcast no-till type, I'll go about 25 to maybe even 50 pounds in some situations over the recommended planting rate, because when I'm doing this, I'm doing it ahead of a rain, a known storm system that's going to come in, not going to produce a big gully washer rain, but a nice soaking, easy rain. That's when I try to do my timing with my seeding. But, we deal with turkeys, birds, stuff like that. That's why I always recommend going a little heavier than the recommended rate of application when it comes to broadcasting seed of any type, really. But I'll go in the spring. Around here in Wisconsin, that part of the year being the 1st of June to about the 15th, because we start our fall food plots here in the upper Midwest right around that magic date of August 1st. So, what is that? That's going to be about 45 to maybe almost 60 days. And so I'll go in with buckwheat, and that buckwheat, when I go heavy like that, it's almost resilient, especially when it comes to weed control. There's like a natural defense mechanism in that buckwheat. And if you plant it thick enough, heavy enough, it can outcompete any weed growth competition. And I mean, this buckwheat, if I've got everything right and we have the right weather conditions and stuff, I mean, this year my buckwheat I'm 6'2". I had buckwheat that was chest high. Wow. And it created, I hardly had a weed in it because it outcompeted the weeds, and it was completely shaded out. And what I did then is I went in that magic date of August 1st, and we had a good rain in the forecast, and fortunately we got it. But I went in just before that rain hit. I broadcast my seed that I planted, which was my brassica blend, and broadcast that right into the standing buckwheat. I then you can take a cultipacker. I got a little crazy on one of my plots, but I had to. I couldn't get anything else in there. I couldn't get a tractor or a four-wheeler and cultipacker in there. I took a steel fence post, a T-post, put a rope on it so I had a handle, and I just stepped it down. And I'm talking, it was 100 degrees that day with what seemed like 90% humidity. I mean, the sweat was just running off you just standing outside. Okay. So I did this in the blazing sun, and I stepped that buckwheat down. I crushed and rolled that buckwheat down. And, even before I did that, though, like I said, I broadcast my seed. I broadcast my starter fertilizer that had to go along with that, and then I crushed that buckwheat down, and then I went over it with my backpack sprayer and a mix of glyphosate in there and sprayed and killed it. And that buckwheat, that crushed buckwheat, acted as a mulch layer. And we got a little dry after we got that rain. But that buckwheat, that crushed buckwheat, it captured the morning dew, and it gave those little seedlings enough moisture to thrive, come up through that crushed buckwheat mulch layer, and outcompete the weeds. And also, when you think about it, the seedling vigor of those cultivated crops that we're trying to grow, they can outcompete the weeds, especially coming up through that mulch layer like that. That mulch layer, weed seedlings just do not have the seedling vigor to fight through that mulch layer. And therefore, I can have a weedless food plot without any further weed control application as far as herbicides go. Yeah. It's kind of resilient.
I can see it. Yep. There's a guy in Mississippi. Well, he's works for Mossy Oak, but he calls it poor man, no-till. Mm-hmm. Similar to what you're doing. He does the same thing. He goes in and he will take, and I think the first thing he does is he'll take his
glyphosate, burn it down,
burn it, and then he'll go in and do his seeding, and then he'll take his bush hog and not run it low, but run, keep it up, but then cut all of that down on top of it, making a mulch layer just like what you're talking about.
Yep.
And
no, I've done that too. I've done that with rye in the spring, because I'll go back in then after about 3 weeks to a month after I put my fall brassicas in, and if it's starting to look a little thin, or even if it's not, I'll go back in around Labor Day up in our part of the country. I'll go in about Labor Day ahead of a rain, and I'll broadcast about 150 pounds of winter rye over the top of that. And then I'll go back in probably about the middle of September. I'll go back in with another layer of probably about 50 pounds of rye. That way I have different stages of growth of rye in my food plot too. And it just adds variety to that brassica plot. But then in the spring, after the brassicas have rotted down, been eaten by the deer, browsed off, rotted down, whatever, that rye is growing still. I want something growing after I get everything established. I want something growing in my soil all year long. So then that rye comes up in the spring. It's that first green up because it has what am I trying to say? It has a germination. So like soil temperature, it'll start growing at 37-degree soil temperature. Winter rye will. So it's the first thing to green up around here, even before clover starts to green back up in the spring. And the deer just devour it. They hit it like crazy. But then, after everything else starts greening up here, natural browse and forbs and stuff start growing in our woods and in our CRP fields. The deer start to lay off of that winter rye. It starts to grow, become a little more woody. And now I've got another mulch layer going back in with my buckwheat for the summertime again. And the process starts all over again.
Yeah, I like something green as long as I can keep it here. It'll get pretty dry and hot, but in the spring, Dustin and I, we're big turkey hunters.
Yep.
We travel everywhere. Sure. I haven't been to Wisconsin yet, but we've been all around it. So, yeah.
Yep.
So if you got 2 or 3 extra birds up there you want to get rid of, there's always, somebody in the South.
We haven't knocked that state off yet. So.
But anyway,
I tell you what.
Yeah. So
I tell you what, if you can get up here, we've got plenty of property. We can get you out and get you on birds.
That's a done deal there.
Well,
don't tempt us with a good time.
When we know we're coming that way, you're going to get a call. And
sounds good to me.
So, but anyway, I like to get it green because I like to get those. Yes. I like to get those flocks out in the field.
Get that bugs in there.
Yep.
Well, they've had all winter, and of course they've got the plots, to do in the winter, but they've had their acorns and all. Everything's gone. Of course, we call them acorns here. Yep. I'm sure you're an acorn guy, but
yep, we're acorns. Yep.
Yeah. I got a friend that that's how he determines where anybody's from. He'll just say, "How do you say the nut on an oak tree?" If they say acorn, he'll know you're from the north. So,
yep.
But anyway, yep. I just like, and that's one of my big reasons for wanting a clover plot is for my turkeys really more than my deer. But I know the deer love them too. But I want to, and I'm hoping not to have to replant every year on this one plot. I'm hoping to get several years out of it. I'll go back in, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but I'll go back in like this time of the year and broadcast me some wheat, some rye, some brassicas out in there because it's going to be thin all winter. You know how clover is.
Sure.
And
yep.
Just to give them that variety and keep something out there. I just don't want to put something in that I've got to go back in and try to kill later that's going to be choking out my clover. And with the rye, when it gets hot, it's going to die anyway. So,
yep.
I've got this year's kind of the first year that I've done a lot of brassica varieties, but but like I say, I'm trying to get more educated on this stuff, and I'm seeing them come up, but I guess it's just lack of rain because my pH has been good. Like in my clover fields, I put some in there to kind of help, help take some pressure off the clover and that sort of thing, like Anthony's talking about. And
yes,
and I'm seeing them pop up, but I mean, they're like the 1 inch height right now. I think it's just due to being so dry. And
yeah, and we plant
absolutely.
a lot later than you. I planted all my fields the first week of October.
I was still planting.
I mean, it was just too dry. We used to plant. I'd always try to plant around Labor Day, but it was just too dry, and it was really too dry then. But we had a promised rain that didn't show up, so everything set for a couple of weeks before we got a rain. And of course, the turkeys come in. They're going to do their thing, and let me tell you, I'll replant for my turkeys.
Yeah,
if they eat it all, I'll go back and just put out some more. But that's what when I was telling you, my fields look terrible, but it's got that green haze where they're all coming up across there, but there's deer out there all day long, just mowing it down, grazing from daylight to dark. And it don't take many deer to knock out an acre plot.
No, it sure doesn't.
I think people don't realize that 6 or 8 deer can just destroy a plot coming up. I shouldn't say destroy, but keep it really beat back down.
Yeah.
I think that's where your little baskets, you could put out and just kind of see what it should be doing.
Seclusion cages.
Yes,
absolutely. To monitor that growth. Absolutely. And I've done that for clients of mine that I've done food plots for in the past. They complained one year, so I went back the next year, put these seclusion cages out, because what I find in my business, dealing with a variety of food plot seed dealers, everybody wants to blame the seed. It's the first thing they do, because everybody wants to blame somebody else for a failure. But when you see it, it's mostly all deer pressure.
I think you're 100% right. I tell a lot of the members of this lease I'm in, they'll talk about how terrible, our plots look all winter long.
Yep.
And and none of them turkey hunt. And I'll be down there during turkey season. I go, you guys should show up here in April. Once the pressure's off, the deer's got more browse. They're not out there near as much. Those fields just take off until it gets super hot and dry, of course. But, I've started taking pictures of them so I can say it wasn't the seed, it wasn't the lack of rain or whatever. It was the deer. And
absolutely.
It's helped some, but the seclusion cages, it can show those guys when they're hunting what it would look like.
Yeah.
Yep. So, like with these small plots and stuff too, if you want to keep the pressure off, one of the things you could do is you could fence it off, like a double layer. Oh, you see these double layer fences where you have an outside row of electric wire, you have an inside row of electric wire about 3 feet back. It has to do with the depth perception of a deer, because their eyeballs being on the side of their head, they don't have the depth perception that a human being does. And that electric fence, it's not 100% foolproof, but it will help your food plot survive even more. And that goes back to the seclusion cages. The seclusion cages proved it. Now what can we do to try to save the entire food plot?
We have a terrible problem with wild pigs, hogs. I mean, and they'll get in and just root one up. They can come in one night, and you'd think somebody took a turning plow to a whole acre.
Now you can say destroy on the hogs.
Totally destroyed. And I have that problem, especially on our lease. It's funny. The 40 acres I bought is just another 1.5 miles up the road. No hogs. Never seen one. Never had an issue with any up there. But man, they are everywhere.
Sure. Uh-oh. Does Alabama have a shoot on site policy with hogs?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We can shoot 365 days a year. You can hunt them at night up until opening of the deer season. They won't allow you to hunt them at night during deer season. I guess they're afraid people would get tempted, I guess. So
yeah, I understand that. Yep.
So I personally have never hunted them at night. But people don't realize they're very good to put in the freezer. I'll usually take 1 or 2 little, 100 pound or less sows out and carry them to the processor and process it. I can't tell the difference. Sure. Maybe just a tad tougher than something. Of course, it hadn't been in a pen, fed corn its whole life or whatever.
Yeah, so, right.
But I cooked some a pork butt and some ribs. I want to say around the 4th of July this year. It might have been Labor Day. And my kids didn't know I didn't go to the store and buy it. They loved it.
Okay.
So the pork chops are a little bit smaller. You can't get bacon out of them. There's just not enough fat on them.
Sure.
But I've got big issues. I've got 3 sows down there. I bet they got 20 little ones with them right now that have found a feeder, and they destroyed one of my feeders last year. I'm talking about knocked it down and rooted it till they broke it in half and busted it.
Oh my God.
And nothing I could do but watch it on the camera till it was gone. This is one thing about pigs, and I don't know if you guys have them up there. If you do, man, kill every one of them you can find. But when they find a food source, they will lay in it and eat. I'll say a feeder. They'll take a feeder and they will not move until it's gone. They'll be there every day. Sure. They're real smart. They know when they go off. If you was to pour out 150 pounds of corn, they'll stay there 24/7 until they eat every kernel of corn.
And they get every bit of it.
And it's gone. Yeah. So it's crazy.
Sure. But that is crazy. Wow.
So you get the
that's one thing I have not done.
Well, come on down. We'll put you on a big one.
I'll take you up on that.
Hey, I'd love, you can't shoot them out. There's too many here. I mean, the only true method is trapping, and I don't have that kind of time. It's too far away from me. I mean, I guess I could hire a trapper to come in and do it. And getting it down there. And in Alabama, you have to kill them. You can't trap them. And there for a while, people would trap them, bring them home, put them in a pen, feed them out and that kind of thing. But a lot of people were bringing them home and turning them loose is what they were doing. Sure. But now you'll get a big time fine. They catch you with a live feral pig. Mm-hmm. So if you catch 30 in a trap, and there's some people around here who can do it, you got to kill all 30 and dispose of them things. I mean, I kill them now, and I'll just drag them out and let the coyotes have them, or So it is a big issue with us and with food plots. Because they will flat destroy a food plot. They'll get out there like cows. I've watched them graze like a cow, not root, but just actually eating the grass. And when it gets too low, they'll root it up and eat the roots, I guess, from the seed, from whatever was growing. But well, what have we missed in your book? What do people need to know? I know we've talked all the way up to getting planted. Are we missing anything?
I don't know if we're really missing anything. I guess the biggest point I want to make is it's, like I said in the beginning, it's not an end all be all, but it is an alternative, especially for guys that don't have the means to buy the bigger equipment, the big tractors, the big no-till drills, corn planters, things like that. It gives guys an option to know that there's an option out there, because a lot of guys just simply do not know. When they think food plots, they think farming, and they think of the traditional way of farming where you plow the soil and all of that. You're out there cultivating weeds, nonstop all summer long, and it's just not that way. So it's an option is what the intent of this book is. But my intent is to help reach more people, and it's available on Amazon. So
yeah, we like we talked about earlier, it's not a long read. It's the print in the book,
right?
Dustin bought for an old man like me. I'm 60, so I wear glasses and have for a while, but the font is real big in it. I mean, it's something that you can read in just a night or two. It's not, like reading Gone with the Wind or something, big novel.
Right.
So,
right.
No, I would suggest anybody go out and grab this thing.
Yeah, get you some tabs and put in it, because you're going to want to go back to certain pages and you'll just bookmark them. That's kind of what I did the 2 evenings after I read it, was went back and kind of bookmarked. And then you've got a new book out as well, right?
I've got a new book out on timber management, basically focusing on hardwoods and evergreens, and what to do as far as, like establishing, browse is a big thing, especially here in the North Country. But browse is big everywhere in a whitetails realm, wherever they call home around the United States, North America. I know I've dealt with a lot of people, talking to a lot of people, like in the South, in the southern plains of like Kansas, Texas, they don't believe, because there isn't a lot of trees, cedar thickets, but a deer is always going to seek out woody browse wherever he can find it, because a deer just knows naturally. They're a ruminant animal. They need to keep that pH of that rumen as close to neutral as they possibly can too. And they're going to seek out roughage, and that is in the form of woody browse, and that's the biggest thing. And it's one of the things that I see most common here in the northern tier. We get into these big hardwoods here, and there's no understory. There's such a high old growth forest that the canopy is so vast, high canopy, that it shades out the understory, and there's no growth. There's no green vegetation on the understory. You got to get in that book that I just wrote and released here in the last couple weeks, it helps explain that, and it helps the do-it-yourselfer understand that we need to open up the canopy in these forests, especially here in the northern tier of states throughout the country, and allow, whether it's natural vegetation that's there, but it also talks about invasive species. Buckthorn is a big one here in the upper Midwest that we're trying to control. Multiflora rose. I've dealt with a lot of that, like in Missouri, southwest Wisconsin. I know a guy that went in and did a very extensive logging project. Within 2 years, the multiflora rose just consumed that property. So it talks about getting ahead of the curve before it becomes a problem, or what to do if it becomes a problem, and you didn't act on it right away. So it helps iron out all of that as well. I've just enjoyed creating these books to help people understand better a different way to locate these resources, because not everybody is on the internet. There's a lot of old schoolers that do not get on. There's a lot of people our age, that don't get on either. And that way they have it right along with them, no matter what their age is.
Oh, I've got an 83-year-old dad that close to technology. He's got his flip phone. He will not leave the flip phone, but so no internet.
My dad is the same way.
They'll tell him something at the bank or something about, go online and you can do that. And it's like, I don't have internet, and he doesn't,
right.
So
sure.
He's amazed. I got a game camera out on one of his little food plots. He does still hunt, or tries to. And he's just amazed that with cellular technology, it just sends the picture, in the old days, I'd go get the card and we'd look at the pictures, and now I just go, he'll say, "We seen it. Got any deer?" And I'll just pull up my phone. He's still amazed that they send those pictures right to your phone now.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
There's a lot of people that, either don't have technology or just refuse to use it. And
absolutely.
And I'll be honest with you, I would rather pick up a book, a magazine, and your food plot blueprint book is almost like a magazine. It's about the same size as the one Dustin has here is. And I hunt publications that'll mail me a magazine. I just hate reading off my phone or off a tablet. I would rather sit and read it, feel it, flip the page when I want to flip it, and that kind of thing. I can take my highlighter, which I won't do to his book. I'll buy my own, highlight what I want to remember, go back in, just like he said, you can fold a page down or tab it and go back to it when you want to, but you can't
Absolutely.
do with a ebook or something like that. So.
Right. It is. So like the no-till blueprint, that is available in an ebook too, just so people are
okay.
aware of that.
Good.
Yep.
Well, that's good because you can keep it on your tablet or whatever. When you're down at your deer camp, it's there with you because most people that have tablets and that kind of, even on your phone now, I mean, heck, some of these iPhones are big enough now, they're almost a tablet. So
yeah, exactly.
But,
so
what about you said you have a consulting business or
yes,
is that something you want to talk about? I didn't know if you have enough customers. I doubt down here in the South you want to reach out that far down where we are, but there's people all over that listen to us.
I have not done much consulting in the Deep South. A couple clients I did some virtual plans for in Louisiana a few years ago. But recently I have had a few potential clients reach out to me from Georgia, Alabama. It's just not in the cards for me to get down there in 2026 to do consulting. But I'm involved enough in this business, in this little niche, the consulting business. I've developed a lot of friendships of other people who do it across the country. So I do have, those contacts. If a person is to reach out to me to, that has a question about consulting, I can connect them with the right people in their area. But like I said, my business is Epic Whitetail Habitat, LLC. I'm based out of West Central Wisconsin, but I have, nearly 1,000 clients now in the last 8 years across 21 different states. So business is growing. We're reaching more states. I think I will get into my 22nd and 23rd state here this year. And
explain for the people that don't even know.
Yep.
Why do you need a consultant? What does a consultant bring to the small guy or the large guy for that matter that's never had one or been, exposed to what you guys do?
Sure. Well, being a consultant, I'm consumed by deer, the white-tailed deer, basically 24/7. And I have been since a very young age. I have, a lot of heads on my walls. I've killed a lot of big bucks. I know what it takes to kill these big mature bucks, especially here in the North Country. He's a totally different animal than your 1, 2, 3-year-old age class deer. So it comes down to basically where I get hired the most is to figure out access for guys. What's the best stand access? How can we screen our movements getting in and out of these stands? What can we do here? I've got this big 10 acre, 50 acre open field. How can I break this up to make it even smaller to hold deer so they feel more secure? And so they spend a disproportionate amount of time on our property. That's what I help guys figure out. And I absolutely love doing it. And I drive to most of the places that I consult on. I have flown. And I've spent, overnight, maybe 2 or 3 nights at clients' houses, whatever. I mostly try to stay out of, basically live out of a hotel. But once in a while, I get the right client that invites me into their home, spend that time at their home and stuff. And I've met a lot of great people in the last 8 years that I've been in official business. I've been doing habitat work on my own, food plots and stuff, for probably 15 to 20 years, doing some stuff for, close friends and in family. But then I started the business officially in 2017, and it's just taken off. And a lot of my referrals are word of mouth. I'm on, I do a lot of social media posting and stuff. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, starting to get into TikTok, got on that trend a little bit. And I love it. But most of my clientele now come from word of mouth. And I've built a lot of great friendships out of some of the consulting opportunities that I've had. And it's great to have contacts around the country. And, basically at the end of the day, if you want to do something bad enough in your life, you have to face the fact that you're your only competition, and sky's the limit on where you can go. And I've been very blessed at where my life is at this point. And there's nothing about my life that I would ever change.
Well, there's something I was going to touch on. I heard you say you do virtual stuff too. So if I bought a piece of property here, or like Anthony bought his 40, we could get with you and send you a topo and some of that type of stuff, and let you just kind of put together a plan. Yep. Okay.
Yep. Now, like a virtual plan, I don't do many, just simply because there's nothing like seeing a piece of ground with your own two eyes,
right,
and getting the feel of it that way. Virtual plan, I can look at topos and stuff and make the suggestions, but to actually see how the deer are using that property, it's one thing to theorize about it, just looking at a map. It's another thing to actually see how the deer are using it, where the scrape lines are, where the rub lines are, where the major travel corridors are, what's a doe bedding area, where are the bucks actually bedding. I have done it for clients, like I've said, but those clients too, they also went above and beyond and gave me some video captions of everything. Mm-hmm. And actually, we've done some like Facebook lives or whatever, if they had a good connection on their property, or they just simply did a video montage of their entire property for me. So that helped out tremendously to do that kind of stuff, and broke it down from there. But most of my consulting and habitat planning comes from boots on the ground, actually going out, putting my feet on a person's property and walking the property with them.
Well, it's like they say, if you're doing what you love, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Sounds like you're doing that.
Yep. I live a truly blessed life. I'm blessed that I grew up in a farming family, in a hunting family. Hunting runs deep in my family. I always used to hear my grandpa and even my great-grandfather say, especially my great-grandfather, when they were kids, to see a whitetail deer in this part of Wisconsin was an absolute rarity. There wasn't a hunting season around here when my great-grandfather was a little boy back in the early 1900s. And then my grandpa, he can remember when those first hunting seasons came in. And then, like with my dad, when he started hunting, we had what they called party tags. They didn't allow you to shoot does, but you could get out of your entire family, you could apply for one doe tag. And, somebody, you always designated who the person was that was going to get that doe or whatever. But now, here in 2025, we basically, however many doe tags you want to buy, you get 3 doe tags. Now it's area specific throughout the entire state. So like our area here, when I bought my archery license here in September, I got 3 doe tags and then a buck tag. Now with our gun season coming up, I'm going to get 2 more doe tags and another buck tag with that. So if I don't get a buck with my gun, I can't shoot a buck with a bow and fill that gun tag. I can only use my archery buck tag one time. So now, like you guys, you say you get 3 bucks. Is that for any weapon, any time of the year throughout the season?
Yeah. That's your allowed amount. Whether you archery and gun hunt, or only gun hunt. So once you get those 3, you're done. But like I said, in most of Alabama this year, and there's no charge for anything extra. like doe tags or anything, you can take 2 does a day. And
man, that's it.
It's
wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we e-check them, but we don't have tags.
Yeah. Everything. We never tagged to begin with. Well, up until a few years back when they made this 3 buck limit, you could kill a buck and a doe a day for the entire season.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Now that's why we don't have, the land and the agriculture like you do up north there, but that's one of the reasons we didn't have big deer. I mean, they were killing everything.
Sure. Sure.
So
those practices have become a lot better, I think.
Yeah, I think it's better here. We're seeing a lot more nice deer, 140s, 150s, the occasional 170, 80s come out and around.
And seeing those 200-pound deer, too, as far as weight-wise. I mean, they're getting a little age on them, and people are doing a little more for the deer and the wildlife.
That's good. That's awesome.
Well, look, Ryan, I know we've held you a little bit longer than I said we would, but we do appreciate we appreciate you coming on. And,
thanks for having me on.
And maybe we'll get you back on.
Hopefully I can learn how to grow some of the brassicas as big as volleyballs like you were showing on your social media the other day.
So,
I know it. That's the best brassica plot that I've had as far as size goes.
Man, those were monsters.
Absolutely.
Well, you know who to call if you get ready to come down and kill you a big old hog or want to just try some deer here in the South.
You bet. And you know who to contact if you want to turkey hunt in Wisconsin.
We do.
I got a feeling we're going to meet up face to face one day.
Yep.
I think so.
You'll see one of them Duramaxes roll in one of these days for sure.
That's right.
Well, all
right, guys.
We appreciate it, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
All right.
Thank you.
Wow.
I mean, and we just scratched the surface. I mean, this guy knows what he's talking about.
He's the real deal.
Yeah, I would love to sit and pick his brain at hunting camp one weekend or a week, or he'd be ready to go time we got done with him.
Well, I kept hoping we could lure him in with a pig or something. He could come on down to hunt. Maybe take a little walk across.
Walk around the 40 down there.
That 40. Maybe come up here and walk up and down the bankhead. I mean, he'll see we didn't get that glacier either. I mean, that's why it's so hilly in the areas we hunt for the most part.
Man, so many days I'd love if we would have.
So anyway, I think it was a great one.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Picked up a few things. Glad to know I'm doing things right and know what to kind of correct on some things I'm not doing right.
I believe we've been a lot more educated on this stuff for the last couple of years.
In the next couple of years, we're going to have some tremendous plots.
And some pictures of a bird in Wisconsin with Ryan real soon.
Exactly.
We know it's deer season. Once again, it's always turkey season.
Sorry, guys. And there's one coming up on turkeys here before long. But it was actually it's a spring hunt, but in nearly the winter for us. You'll probably hear that, or you probably already heard it by the time you hear this one. So anyway, we'll talk turkeys anytime.
Oh yeah.
You got anything else?
No, I'm good.
Well, all right. I guess we're gonna get off here and we'll talk. I won't say see you. I always want to say see you, but we'll talk to you in about a week. And take care of those trees because that's where the turkeys sleep.